Mr. Semenya, good morning to you all.
Good morning, Chairperson, and to the commissioners as well. Chair, there is something of a little technical glitch which should be of no consequence if you permit us to proceed. The voice is good, we are good there. The image, though, is too narrow, but would still be able to have a visual image of Mr. Kele.
Yes.
With that qualification, we are ready to proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Seme, you are ready?
Howard, it is Mr. Vani who must
Yes.
cross-examine.
Yes. Mr. Vani, are you ready?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Chairperson. Good morning to you and the
General
Commissioners
Cele,
and to
good
Mr.
morning.
Tsele. I am ready. I hope I am audible and visible.
Yes, you are both audible and visible. General Cele, good morning.
Good morning, Justice. Good morning, everybody that is on the platform. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning.
We can see you.
Unfortunately, I can't see you, and I would have loved to see you, but I can see Advocate Vani.
Yes. Mr. Vani, you may proceed.
As the Chairperson pleases. General, firstly, thanks for coming back. We know that
Before
you have an extremely
sorry to interpose,
busy
Mr.
schedule.
Mr. Vani, sorry to interpose. General Cele, you are reminded that you are still under your former oath.
Thank you very much, Justice. I remember very well.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Vani.
Thank you, Chairperson. So yes, General, thanks again for coming back to assist the Commission. We're fully aware of your hectic schedule. I should disclose that our paths have crossed way back in the early 90s when we were both dealing with the political violence in KwaZulu-Natal. I think our paths might have crossed subsequently as well. I can't remember exactly. Firstly, and on behalf of the families, we want to acknowledge the sacrifices that you have made for the liberation of South Africa. We wanted to place that on record. Now, we don't want to keep you very long this morning. We have provided you with our questions, and we hope that that's assisted you with your preparation. We're going to largely follow the order in the questions, which are set out in the application to cross-examine. Can I just check before we proceed? Do you have a copy of that document and the attached bundle?
Yes, I think this is the correct document I have. Document character group bundle to cross-examine Begitsele. I think that how is it headlined?
Yes, that's correct. Wonderful, thank you. All right, well then you will see that at the top of page 2, there's a title called References to Colonel Botha. And you will recall, General, that in your evidence in chief, as well as your statement, you made a number of references to Colonel Botha. You pointed out that it was the conduct of Botha and perhaps others that motivated you to initially refuse funding for the legal costs of apartheid-era police officers. So firstly, we want to check this Colonel Botha. Was this Hendrik Johannes Petrus Botha, also known as Henty Botha?
Thanks very much, Savani. maybe acknowledging my presence here. Today is a National Executive Committee meeting finalizing the election list of which I'm part of it. But I have apologized to the NEC to be here. As you said that you are busy, and I'm very much busy. With the KZN machinery of election, so I had on the block, but
Okay, thank you. Now, you also made reference in your evidence in chief to one of your comrades, and that was Spoor Pewa. I just want to put us all on the same page, so I'm going to read from paragraphs 9 to 11.4. Just some context about Comrade Pewa, as well as Kubeka, and then we're going to tie them up with Botha, this Colonel Botha. We believe it's the same Henty Botha. So I'll just read this into the record. In May 1987, Spoor Pewa, a UDF activist, was abducted by Askaris and handed over to the security branch at Winkelspruit on the Natal coast. He was never seen again, and his body has not been recovered. At least 3 of the perpetrators, including the notorious Andy Taylor, died before they could face justice. On 24 October 2022, the NPA and DPCI announced in a joint statement the opening of 4 inquests into apartheid-era crimes involving murders and disappearances of ANC activists and MK operatives committed in KZN, including Ntombi Kubeka and Pewa. Kubeka was abducted, tortured, and murdered near Winkelspruit by the security branch, also in May 1987. Paragraph 11. In November 2023, the DPP of KZN decided to pursue a prosecution of 4 persons, Hendrik Johannes Petrus Botha, the Henty Botha we've referred to, Johannes Dupria and Martinus David Ras Jr., and Jacob Albert Kutzer for the murders of Pewa and Kubeka. 11.1. On 12 November 2024, Lawrence Gerald Wasserman was also charged with murder, and all 5 accused appeared before the Mlazi Magistrates Court, and the matter was remanded. 4 days later, it was reported that Wasserman died while traveling on a plane between Durban and Johannesburg on 16 November 2024. On 16 February 2026, one of the accused, that's Russ, launched proceedings in the High Court to review the decision of SABC, refusing his application for assistance with the payment of legal costs in the criminal matter and declaring that he is legally entitled to the appointment of an attorney and a counsel of his choice to represent him. A copy of the notice of motion is annexed, marked A. And Russ has apparently been joined by Botha in that application. 11.4. The trial of the accused has been set down for 24 to 28 August 2026 in the regional court. It will proceed unless interdicted by the High Court on the question of legal representation. So I can tell you that that's exactly what happened this week. It's been postponed to December 2026 because of that application to the High Court on the question of legal representation. Now, we have attached an affidavit by That was a statement that Mbuso made out in support of the application for constitutional damages. It's annexed marked B. Now, in your evidence in chief, you recall that Ms. Sema asked you about a certain biography. And at that time, I think all of us made the assumption, I think incorrectly, that you had written a biography. And I think you stated in your evidence that you intended to write one, and indeed you will have lots to write about, but you hadn't done so as yet. So we first wanted to clear up the misnomer, the mistermed document biography. So let's turn to the statement of Mbuso Khoza. It's at page, and we can just jump to the relevant paragraphs 16 and 17. It's at page 39 of the bundle. And when we refer to page numbers, these are the big red numbers that are on the top right-hand corner.
I'm there. I'm there at page 39.
Thank you. You were quicker than me. So at paragraph 16 and 17, just to deal with this biography, he says, in 2002, my aunt Zalma Pewa submitted an application on my behalf to the Department of Finance that I could benefit from my father's special pension. My aunt had to submit supporting documents, which included my father's certificate of service and a biography that was authored by my father's close ally, Bekit Sele. So let's then turn to that biography. It's at page 56. And perhaps it shouldn't be referred to as a biography, although it is titled that in handwriting at the top.
There.
So you'll see that it's on the letterhead of the African National Congress, KZN province. It's titled "To Whom It May Concern." In the date stamp, it looks like it's 12th of September 1997. And we don't have to go through it. Essentially, you confirm in this statement, which looks like it was sworn before perhaps a police officer, that you knew Musa Pewa. He was involved with you in political activities. He was in the thick of things, as you say in that first paragraph. And you point out that he has disappeared. You do suggest that he opted for exile. Although you accept that before he could go into exile, he was abducted and subsequently murdered by the security branch.
Are you asking?
Yes, I'm asking.
Well, I think, as I said in my, I concur and confirm the document. The document was part of the finding the facts, because the people that would claim to have been part of the struggle, sometimes underground, so they would get some people to confirm. So for me, it could not be difficult at all to confirm, knowing very well Spo Pewa, of which I stand by it, that I know him. But as I say, that I'm not very sure. I was not sure that he was abducted. What I knew and what I was told is that he had gone to exile, and he was missing between leaving the country and arriving in the camps. I had some inquest about him, because is one person that was always in my mind as I come back for operation, that would be part of the structures, knowing him well, that I would love to work with him. So when I inquire his whereabouts. This is information that I received, that he had left the country for exile. So now I know with the new information that he was abducted. What I don't know, whether on the way or from home, and what was the situation, but my understanding was from me trying to find out work with him again as I came back for the underground operations.
Thanks for that clarification. And if we can return to the application to cross, and incidentally, I'm also going to be referring from time to time to your statement before this commission. That's your statement that you made out on the 20th of June 2026. You have a copy of that as well?
Yes, I do, starting from page 13. Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So we'll definitely come to your statements a bit later. Perhaps I can just then refer to an annex that was attached to Mbuso Khoza's statement, and we make reference to it in paragraph 12. And perhaps let's just go to it. I think looking at the source document is probably the best.
Paragraph 12 of...
No, let's yeah. So that's it's referred to in paragraph 12 of the application to cross examine. But let's turn to page 34 of the bundle. That's red number 34. So that's the beginning of the statement of Mbuso. And then he attaches an email that as MHK1, and that's at page 47. So this is an email from, I believe, the uncle of Mbuso, a man by the name of Vusi Gama. Are you at page 47?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. So it's an email that's dated 13 August 2008. It's addressed to yourself at your KZN Transport email address. Am I correct in saying that at that time you were KZN MEC for transport?
That's correct.
And it's copied to one of your officials, somebody by the name of Sharon Gaylor.
Yeah,
The
yes.
subject is, the subject is the late Spore Musa Pewa from Lamontville.
Correct.
And essentially, I don't want to read the entire email, but he gives the background to Pewa that you would be familiar with, the mysterious circumstances under which he died. And then he refers to the fact that they are battling for financial assistance. Would I be correct that you did receive the email and that then led to you providing that document to assist the family in extracting the special pension?
Yes, I confirm that.
And if we can just go back to Mbuso's affidavit, and I'm going to refer you to perhaps let's start at paragraph 20. That's on page 40.
Page 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
And perhaps paragraph 20 sums up the issue raised by Mbusa. He says, given the fact that my father was closely involved with comrades who climbed the ranks with the ANC like Beki Tsele, Vusi Ngubo, Zimba Gumedi, we remained hopeful that when the ANC government came to power, time and resources would be allocated to find out what happened to my father. This turned out not to be the case. So there's the, I suppose, allegation that this matter was raised with you and others, and was not taken up. Can I just ask you to respond to that?
Well, I would not fully agree with the paragraph. As you have said, Mr. Vani, that the request was made for me to confirm knowing SPO. That time I was a provincial leader in both the ANC and the government. And I did what I could to confirm that I know SPO. But the leadership that time would have been at the national level dealing with these matters. These matters, I don't think they were dealt provincially. They would be in the national level in all departments relevant to deal, including the Office of the President, Treasury, Police, Justice, and all that. So that one could have done more than that. I don't fully agree, but it would have been folly for me to say I don't know SPO when I know him. And I think in that particular time, that's a confirmation that was needed, and that confirmation was given.
Thank you. So if we return to the application to cross-examine, we also make reference to the statement of Tuli Kubeka, the daughter of the late MK operative and Pombi Kubeka. She's also an applicant in the claim for constitutional damages, and her statement is attached as well. There's no need for us to go to it. But can I just check, you are familiar with Ntombi Kubeka and the role she played in the underground?
What was Ntombi the daughter?
Tuli is the daughter, and she was the daughter of Ntombi Priscilla Kubeka.
I think I would know mother and the uncle more than the daughter. Truly, I know her well, and the father. We met before, and we met when he was an ambassador. But I don't think that I would know their kids very well, including Tombi. I don't think I know her very well.
Okay, but of course you know her mother. She was presumably one of your comrades at that time.
And the whole family, including their mother, was a very active family. The brother, the sister, the whole family was in it. So I would not be surprised when you tell me that Ntombi was part of that family that was very active.
Right. Well, now we're on the same page, and essentially, Mbusa Khoza and Tuli Kubeka, in their statements, they indicate the various steps that they have taken over the years, in particular since the advent of democracy, to get justice for their parents, And as we see, that matter is only being attended to now. It was only the case was only really reopened literally a few years ago, and then the indictments were only issued towards the end of 2023. So we're looking at a delay in taking action of some decades. And sadly, as we pointed out, people like Vatsaman have died. 3 of the other suspects died some years back. Needless to say that the families are aggrieved that it took so long. Would you agree that kind of delay is unacceptable?
Yeah, yes, I don't know if I could make a little bit of a statement on this one, as I agree.
Please go ahead.
For me, Mr. Vane and Justice, cases like this could not have gone even through the court. There were very obvious cases, really, that the dispensation should have sorted with ease. There are those categories. This is a category we talk about. The category of Griffiths, the category of Victoria, the category of Steve, of Matthew and his comrades there. So those are the people that just needed the confirmation because nobody didn't know about them. Maybe there'll be a second category where we need to confirm and all that. And as I sit here and I look back, they did not even need to go through these processes we are going to. They should have been obvious, those cases. To answer direct your question, I fully agree that even delaying them this far, they should not have been, and indeed, something better should have been done to respond quickly to those families and those generations that they come from them.
Noted, thank you. And I think that statement is important for the families, not just of Pewa and Khampepe, but the others as well. So let me then turn to paragraph 16 on page 4 of the application to cross. And we point out that part of the terms of reference of this commission is to look at whether there should be any payment of constitutional damages to any person. So we want to ask you, in relation to the families of Pewa and Khampepe, who have waited for...
Where are we on the document?
Apologies. We're back at the application to cross-examine, page 4, at the top, paragraph 16.
Okay.
So I was just pointing out that it's, yes, thank you, that it's part of the terms of reference of this commission to advise the president as to whether any constitutional damages should be paid to any person. So invoking the terms of reference, and now that we've considered the story of the families of Pewa and Khampepe who've been waiting, decades for truth and justice. In your view, should this commission be suggesting to the president that they be awarded constitutional damages for the decades-long delay in pursuing their cases?
Well, I'm sure the short statement I've made before, I see this says that it should not have been even debated. It should have been just confirmed, the list of those people. And I would not have qualms and I would not have a problem to confirm the statement that for me, knowing these people, that would be the right thing to do.
Thank you. I think that also carries meaning for the families. Let's then turn to the next heading. As you can see, it says refusal to fund legal costs of apartheid era perpetrators. And you dealt with this topic at length in your evidence in chief, as well as your statement. That's from page 21 onwards. Firstly, let me commend you, General, for taking responsibility, and I have to say that is a really refreshing and welcome approach that we haven't seen from many officials. So we first acknowledge the fact that you acknowledge, you accept responsibility for the initial decision, and that when you were advised about the outcome, you changed course. And we are grateful for that. Although we do need to put it to you that that decision had some impact on the Nokuthula Simelane and COSAS 4 matters, because it did delay both cases for some years, as we point out in paragraph 18. Now, let me say to you that I do have some sympathy or empathy, perhaps. You've pointed out that this is a very sore point for you, that people like Botha, who tortured and committed crimes against yourself and others, that they should now be sponsored by a democratic state in their legal defense. And I should tell you that for the families and those of us who represent the families, we share those sentiments. It sticks in the throat that such individuals should be supported. But I just want to put to you the rationale, the legal ramifications behind providing such support. People like Henty Botha, Eugene de Kock, and others, they acted in terms of the apartheid state's sanctioned policy of carrying out targeted hits and murders and abductions and the like. They acted under instructions. They weren't carrying out private frolics. So it's on that basis that a court has held that they're entitled to state-funded legal representation. I agree that representation shouldn't be unlimited. It has to be reasonable, not limitless. Do you accept that that's the essential rationale?
Mr. Vane, well, it took me on my statement, of which I agree with you, that they were sanctioned, they were ordered. But also we must remember that they were ordered by the criminal state. And it's not me saying so. It's the United Nations that declared apartheid as criminality against humanity. You and me, we know that one very well. That those were criminals ordered by criminal state to commit untold crimes against the people that now they must pay them and thank them for committing that crime against them. But also, as within the law, as you put it, that it will be within the law, that will be accepted, but not without the moral understanding that it flows from the wrong moral understanding, because it's not just them forced to do wrong thing under the correct system. Unless we say we don't agree with the United Nations that apartheid was a crime against humanity, so they were instructed by good, clean hands to do that. I would accept that. But indeed, I've made the statement to say, for me, it should not be even have been a debate that we're doing now if those comrades, if those people who suffered under that, it does not even need the eye of the needle to go through it. It was just supposed to be put there. Unfortunately, we are debating how to take care of the perpetrators of the crime against humanity and forgetting that there are people that need our assistance more than them. The case in hand now is Steve Biko case. Nobody's taking that very serious as we do take serious what we're debating at the present moment. And indeed, delaying that on the moral question, I would not have a problem, but it's a law that comes with it. And as a South African, I need to still respect the law.
Thank you, General. Look, I must say I'm in complete agreement with you. And yes, thanks for pointing out what's going on in the Steve Biko matter. You know, it's just unacceptable that you know the families don't have the same kind of support that the perpetrators do. And indeed, it's grating. You know, you're correct to ask the question: why should perpetrators get support and we don't? For example, at this commission, we don't have any support from the state. We're dependent on you know, pro bono services, and indeed, in all the cases going back many years, we've had to look to you know, charitable foundations and pro bono lawyers who've spent hundreds of days working on these kinds of cases without any support at all on a pro bono basis. And you're also correct in pointing out that the United Nations has declared apartheid as a crime against humanity. Actually, not just the United Nations; it's a crime under the Rome Statute. And I also represent the COSAS 4, and I'm pleased to tell you that we managed to persuade eventually the NPA back in 2022 to include apartheid as a crime against humanity in the indictment in that case. Frankly, we think all the indictments should have included apartheid as a crime against humanity, but at least we've got it into one matter. It's now an appeal before the Supreme Court of Appeal. All right, I think, unless you have a comment on that, I think we can move on from this topic.
I do. But this should not be looked as me undermining the work of the legal teams that are doing this free or pro bono. For me, it should not have even reached that level. It should have, if those lawyers were involved, would have been saying, go and work with the affidavits of people that know these people. As I've said, that it should not have gone through the eye of the needle, this matter. It should have been just done and straight away corrected. And maybe if we're dealing with those that were in the borderline, we're not sure if they were there, because quite many of them that they've taken the chances that they were there, even those that they were selling out that we know, they've come back, some of them, to say we were there, but we know what they did. For me, I would thank the work that the fraternity, the legal fraternity are doing, but it should have been done not to put the argument on the table, but to facilitate that these things, they go quicker than they have up to this point.
Yes, and I think that has been one of the driving purposes behind this work. Let's then turn to your time as National Commissioner. And you deal with this in your statement from page 26, paragraph 40 onwards. And we deal with it in the application from paragraph 19. So I first just want to make a correction to the heading that you have in your statement on page 26. It's 2008 to 20. Yes. Am I right in saying that the exact dates are July 2009 to October 2011?
That's correct. The correction is correct.
Now, at paragraph 41, you say you take responsibility for the delays that occurred during that period. And again, General, I want to place on the record that we are grateful for that statement. And as you can see in paragraph 20 of the application, the family say it's accepted as an act of principled leadership and moral accountability. Thank you for that. And as mentioned, this is refreshing because we haven't heard officials coming forward to take responsibility as yet. So let's then turn to the context. And we bear in mind that much of this context takes place before you assumed office. So when I point out the context, we're not holding you accountable for that context. So I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs which we've pasted into the application from paragraph 22 onwards. And essentially what we're trying to show here is a picture of the fact that these TRC cases are not being attended to. In particular, that they're not being investigated. So firstly, we point to an email that Advocate Chris McAdam, who was with, he was with the NPA, and in particular, he was with the Priority Crimes Litigation Unit, the PCLU, which was handling the TRC cases. So in May of 2009, he sent an email to one of the deputy NDPPs, Advocate Willie Hofmeyer. And at that time, there was an expectation that he was about to be appointed the head of the DPCI, which, as we know, did not happen. And essentially, he says he met with Commissioner Lala concerning the appointment of SABC investigators to investigate the TRC cases. The victims have asked the NPA to look at prosecutions.
Where are you reading, Mr. Van?
So it's on the application, so that first document, page 4, in paragraph 22.
Okay, I'm there.
Thanks. So I'll just start from the quote again. So McAdam writes, I met this morning with Commissioner Lala concerning the appointment of SABC investigators to investigate the TRC cases where victims have asked the NPA to look at prosecutions. We have been taking quite a beating due to the fact that nothing has been done on these matters for a number of years. And in fact, in certain cases, the victims are threatening us with mandamus applications. A mandamus application is an application to court to compel somebody or some institution to do something. Then let's turn to paragraph 23 on page 5. We note that Hofmeyer was not appointed to head up the DPCI. So then McAdam approaches the SAPS again. And now he writes an email, which is also attached at page 65. We don't have to go to it. We'll just look at the extract. So in July of 2009, he pens an email to Superintendent Kola Bezuidenhout at SAPS HQ, seeking a meeting with the commissioner to discuss the TRC cases. Now, of course, you've only just arrived on the office. On the 1st of July, you might not even have been there. But nonetheless,
no, I came at the end of July.
End of July. Okay, so yes, you wouldn't
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So McAdam writes, we are under intense pressure and have been called upon to report on progress to the Minister and the Justice Portfolio Committee. The one matter which requires investigation prescribes on 12 September 2009, and this case must be fully investigated and the family afforded an opportunity to exercise their right to a private prosecution before the crime prescribes. Now, as far as we know, that crime does end up prescribing. But let me pause here. Do you accept that in relation to the period before you came into office, and we know that, of course, you had no personal knowledge of this, am I right in saying you have no grounds to dispute what Advocate McAdam is saying to Superintendent Bezuidenhout and others?
Not at all. Not at all. I was not there, and I have no reason not to believe that happened.
So then, paragraph 24, I think we can skip over it. McAdam was told to meet with Commissioner Anwar Dramat. He was the newly appointed head of DPCI. He wasn't able to secure a meeting through 2009. But I do want to draw your attention to a reference that Lukanya Kalata, the son of the late Fort Kalata, he stated in his affidavit just before this commission that the family of Nokuthula Simelane, that they attempted to send messages. I see it says to the Minister of Police. I thought it was the Commissioner of Police at the time to appoint investigators on the TRC cases. Do you recall whether you were ever approached or sent a message during the course of 2009, perhaps towards the end of 2009, either from family members or legal representatives asking for investigators?
No, I would not remember that in 2009, Mr. Vani.
Okay. Then if we turn to paragraph...
Was it sent to the National Commissioner or the Minister?
Yes, well, that's a good question. I was under the impression that it was the Commissioner. It says here that it was the Minister. Obviously, you were not the Minister. But nonetheless, you can't recall receiving any such communication, so I think we can just leave it. So then in paragraph 26, we note that McAdam then met with Assistant Commissioner Godfrey Lebeya in November of 2009 about the question of investigations. He addressed a letter which we have attached. It's at page 66.
Before you go there,
yes.
Before you go there, why don't you look at paragraph 25 and read it all?
Okay.
Because I think it gives some clarification towards the end. Paragraph 25.
Okay. Is this in the application or your statement?
No, paragraph 25, page 5, as you were reading McAdam. So 25,
yes.
The statement made by Lucanio, that in his affidavit dated 17 January 2025, indicated that he was advised that at the time, the family of the late Nokuthula Simelane and their representatives were working behind the scenes to persuade the Minister of Police to appoint investigators to take on the TRC cases. So if they wrote that in September 2009, I was not a minister. If they write now, January 2025, I'm not a minister, I'm no more there.
Yes, we have noted that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's anything further on that, let's move on.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So, McAdam, as we point out in paragraph 26, he then meets with Commissioner Labaya, Assistant Commissioner Labaya, at the end of November 2009 to talk about investigations on these cases. He then addresses a letter to Labaya in January 2010. We've annexed that letter. Unless you have a comment, I'm in the interest of time, I'm going to skip the contents of that letter. He simply raises a concern that one of the, well, amongst other concerns, that one of the investigators was very keen to prosecute the liberation movements. That's one senior superintendent, Bester. But if you don't have a comment on that, we can move on.
Okay, let's move on.
Then let's turn to page 7. And I want to draw your attention to paragraph 28 because we have an extract from the NPA's annual report of 2009/2010, which is annexed at page 68. But we have the relevant extract in the document. Basically, it's noting that the TRC cases had to be investigated before decisions could be made on prosecutions. I'll just read it into the record. TRC cases. The PCLU is required to advise the NDPP in making decisions whether or not to prosecute in cases arising from the TRC process. Matters need to be fully investigated before any final prosecution decision can be made. Since 2003, the NPA has struggled to secure the necessary cooperation in this regard. With the establishment of the DPCI, the responsibility of such investigations was transferred to this unit. The PCLU had to recommence its negotiations de novo. I'm not sure if that should read investigations, although we were also aware that they were negotiating with SABC, so that's unclear. Currently, the DPCI has indicated that it will conduct the necessary investigations only after the conclusion of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, due to the fact that it has a number of special responsibilities in connection with this event. Now, you do make reference to the World Cup in your statement, and perhaps we can go there. It's at paragraph 42. In fact, 42 through to 44. And you point out that this event required focused attention. It was an historic occasion.
Paragraph of my statement.
Of your statement, yes, that's right. I'll wait for you to get there. It's paginated
42.
page 26.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. So if you look at paragraphs 42 all the way to 44, you make the point that the World Cup in 2010 required focused attention. It couldn't be disrupted by criminals. It was an historic occasion, and you just couldn't afford any adverse consequences for the country and the economy. And in 43, you describe, I think, eloquently that this was a very onerous responsibility which fell on your shoulders. And then perhaps I'll just read paragraph 44 to the record, because then I can pose some questions. South Africa hosted a safe World Cup because of the dedication of SABC's resources. The price we paid was indeed high, as most resources were diverted to this goal. In my respectful view, given the circumstances, as a country, we did well and enhanced the country's reputation for major international events. But our obligations in respect of other matters were delayed is the unfortunate price that we had to pay. Now, would I be right in saying that you decided to include these paragraphs on the 2010 World Cup because SABC had indicated, as we've previously seen, that they could only start with the TRC cases after the conclusion of the World Cup?
Mr. can I raise a coincidental point here that when I made this observation of 2010 World Cup, I did not know about this statement. You remember, where is that statement you read of delay of 2010?
It's in the NPA annual report that we just dealt with for 2009 and 2010.
So I really did not know that statement. That coincides with my thinking. But one other thing, when I joined the police end of July as a national commissioner, these budgets were there. I don't think that it was most of the police that diverted. I think it was the treasurer business that put the money that was ring-fenced really to work on 2010. Maybe diversion from other things would not have been directly done by the police, but more at the treasury level, that this money, and I guess would have been taken from some other programs of the police, but thereafter ring-fenced to deal with 2010 World Cup.
Roger, thank you. Can I ask then why you decided to include these paragraphs on the 2010 World Cup in your affidavit dealing with the TRC cases?
Well, I think it would have been me trying to make the point that TRO cases, we'll talk about them now, but I don't think it's the only thing that suffered in other work of the police. Many other things that suffered. For instance, when we went for 2010 World Cup, there was a lot of training of the South African police, and they were at a high number. I think there were 195,000 members of the South African police in different units. And as I came back as a minister, I found them almost 180 with the 60 million population. So recruitment was increased, I guess, towards 2010. Training, many units like public order policing were there. So TRC did not suffer alone, but other areas of policing did suffer as we're concentrating on 2010, Mr. Van.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Yes, and while we're talking of resources, I see in paragraph 41, aside from taking responsibility, you say in your capacity as commissioner, there were several matters that required my attention and to which police resources had to be deployed. So when it comes to the deploying of resources, so this is, obviously, important decisions because it deals with the decisions around allocating personnel, police officers, detectives, other staff, perhaps equipment, and of course, money and budgets. That these are the results of decisions that one takes in a position like you held.
Not necessarily. The budget is not done by the minister. It would have been a real pleasure to do the budget. The budget is done by the MINBAD. There is a group of ministers, and I must say today, from the security cluster, we've been really complaining because there is no minister that came from the security cluster that was sitting on this minbat. So that's that. It starts from there. And then as a minister, you are given, just this is a budget. But even so, it's not passed or denied by you. It goes to Parliament. Yours is to read in Parliament. And you go to Portfolio Committee. Portfolio Committee can help you to so when you see the budget, minister has a minimal or zero kind of input in the processes of coming of the budget. Yours is to oversee it, that it does the job that has been given through Minbat, portfolio committees, Parliament itself, until it becomes a proper budget that is read by the minister, of course, and is passed by Parliament.
Thanks for that useful background. Chairperson, I see it's gone 11:30. I can indicate that I'll need perhaps about another 20 minutes. I just wanted to alert you that an hour has gone, and if you wish to take a break at this stage.
Okay. Asking me or chair? Okay.
I'm asking the chairperson.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Vani, since you need 20 minutes, I suggest that we proceed.
I'm grateful, Chairperson. General, thanks for that background on the resources when it comes to budgets and money. But would I be right in saying that in terms of allocating your own personnel, your own officers, that's when we talk about those resources, that's a decision that the police makes?
Well, if you say my own personnel, you mean the whole police or the ministerial staff?
So for the moment, we're not talking about your role as minister. We're talking about your role as commissioner of police. So within SABC itself, although you might be constrained by decisions that others have taken in relation to the money you get, you're able to come up with your own strategic focus. You can decide where to allocate your police officers.
No. You are given the money, and there are things called programs. By the time it gets out of Parliament, it's in programs already. The biggest program is administration, where salaries and everything goes. Last time I checked, we were close to 80% of that amount of money. And then there are operations, and then there are investigations. So by the time it becomes a budget, it's already fixed and ring-fenced. We are not going to be taking money from operations to investigation or vice versa. It's already there. Unfortunately, all departments, I guess, the biggest will be personnel, administration and personnel, where money goes. So you come to maneuver to the little you have on the investigations. One thing that have suffered, Mr. Vani, big time in the police, it's investigations and the investigators themselves. In many ways, their training, their recruitment, their advancement, no promotion, nothing. And you find that the bleeding of the South African police comes from there, because the other entities, even the private, you will be surprised when I tell you how much police are bleeding towards the private industry. You know, just divert a little bit. There are two units in the police. One is called the Special Task Force. Other is called the National Intervention Unit. You know, I was so surprised and taken. I had to do something when I realized that the taxi industry has taken 56 of the special task force from the South African police. To train one special task force to be member to be all around is 1.1 million. So 56 of them are taken there. So there are those issues where we try to patch here and then all that. So, but you maneuver within what is already budgeted. You don't have much as a minister to move in the whole budget.
Thanks, and that is very sobering to hear. But if we could move away from budgets and money down to the operational level, and since you raised investigations, would I be correct in saying that at the operational investigative level, it's police management that takes decisions on which cases to focus on, which cases to prioritize?
Indeed, that's true.
Yes. So you have pointed out that in relation to the World Cup, that certain things had to give way, and unfortunately we are aware that that the TRC cases were one of the groups of matters that had to give way. But would you accept that the TRC cases were not recent? They didn't crop up around the time of the World Cup. These are quite old cases. They had been on the books for some time. That they, in fact, should have been investigated in previous years. And so this decision about suspending, work on these cases, not even suspending because they hadn't really started, but would you agree that that should not have been a decision that needed to be taken because they should have been already live cases being investigated?
Well, maybe I'm biased on this one because myself, I would have loved to know what happened to me. So definitely, maybe people that were there can give us better answers. Why it didn't happen that quick? I concur with that. That the families out there, especially those that they lost. But Mr. Vani, besides the comrades we lost on the way, those that disappeared, like Spore, we don't know where they went, and those that were still digging their graves today, and those that are living with a lot of scars, by the way. This Friday, no, this Sunday, we are having a memorial lecture of Phila Ndwandwe, and and I think that is one woman that faced a serious brutality towards her end of her life. And I would really love to know what happened. We're pretty close with her. So I would really love to happen. Indeed, I would not take any qualms to say they should have been given some form of facilitation and priority those cases of the TRC.
President, thank you. So, as mentioned previously, there is evidence before this commission that, by and large, the TRC cases were not investigated between 2003 and 2010. Post-World Cup is when things started to really happen. Now, we're aware, of course, that you only assumed office at the end of July 2009. We don't hold you accountable for what happened before you were there, but you have correctly and I think bravely accepted responsibility for what happened during your tenure from July 2009 through to October of 2011. So now if we turn to the TRC cases, which I think were being handled by the PCLU at the NPA, they had been declared priority crimes. We know that the PCLU didn't just deal with the TRC cases. They had a host of other priority matters, which included terrorism, violations of arms control provisions, crimes dealing with nuclear and biological weapons. The list goes on. We've heard evidence from individuals such as Advocate McAdam that these other cases continued in the normal course, and SAPS carried on, always investigated those cases without interruption. It was only the TRC cases that were not taken forward. And there is a narrative emerging that before this commission that it was a question of resources. Now, would you agree with me that when it comes to decisions around which cases to investigate and which not, and where to apply resources and which not, that requires decisions to be taken?
Well, if I can make a short statement on the taking responsibility, that is within the context that I've explained, 2009 to 2010, 2011. So I'm sure the context there has been explained. The police would give the responsibility of investigation from the level of operations, and that level would be at the level of the National Commissioner, not of the Minister going down. Minister could be reported to, especially if you are seeking the report to go to the portfolio committee, because the minister reports there. You might delegate, but it's the minister that reports to the portfolio committee when everybody answers and all that. So I would agree with you that those that determined the kind of investigation maybe would have more responsibility of telling why not this. I don't know if I can make some form of a bizarre kind of statement.
Please go ahead.
That I understand. You see, when the new dispensation came, there were no buses and trains that took the police that were there out of the work, and buses brought the new. The same people continued, and those are the people that had to investigate the same thing. For instance, you read somewhere, I can't remember, where there was somebody that had more zeal and oomph of investigating the liberation cadres and all that rather than investigating this. So from me, I would guess that maybe that did on the individuals that would have done the job, that to say, why should I investigate myself? Because as I'm saying to you, there were no buses that took everybody out of the offices, and new buses brought those people continued. So for me, that could have been that you go and check yourself what you have done, and check and tell me what you have done. I would be lazy to do that and be more keen to do other things than looking after myself. That is just my thinking. I don't think there are facts about that.
Noted. And you know, it's useful to have those insights. Can I put the following to you? And this is now from the perspective of the people I represent, the families. This is their response to the assertion that but for the lack of resources, the TRC cases would have gone ahead. That it's somehow just a coincidence that en masse, that group of cases didn't go ahead, Although, if the police had the resources, they would have gone ahead. And here I'm talking about that period before you came to office. That from the perspective of the families, that's insulting their intelligence. Would that be a fair statement?
Unless I amend the statement, Mr. Vani, it could not have been just the police. Police don't make their budget. For me, it would have been across the government, especially some specific departments, including Treasury, by the way, because I would have taken the statement by the families to say, here is the money given to deal with this matter, but you did not do it. So for me, Treasury will be part of it. For me, NPA will be part of it. The police will be part of it. So I would not blame the police alone, but it will be across some departments within the government, and indeed ending up at the government if it needs to be, rather than the police as a department. That will be my take. In expanding the cry of the families.
Yes, and I think we are in agreement that responsibility is not just of the police alone. It does cut across. I think we have to look at the role of the NPA and, as you say, government more generally. But just to wrap up the question of resources as an excuse for these cases not going ahead, the families will be putting it to this commission that they don't buy that excuse. It wasn't just a question of resources. Shortage of resources applies across the board, not just to one group of cases. And that the failure to take the cases forward through the decade of the 2000s, that was the function of management decisions.
You mean the family is saying they are not buying the story from the police or across the departments and the government responsible for the whole thing? So I'm specific to the police.
To the extent that the police or any other department say that, oh, we couldn't go ahead because we didn't have the resources, the families reject that claim.
Well, I would not fight the families for that particular understanding, but knowing, having gone inside these structures, there is something, Mr. Vani, that says there is lack of resources. If we can, there are many things that we can put as a lack of resources, having done the job both administratively and politically where I come from. But that does not mean that I say families should not believe that way.
Right, let's move on. If I can draw your attention back to the application, and at page 7 at the bottom, we just point out a stock. I'll wait for you to get there.
Okay, I'm there.
Paragraph 31 at the bottom. We just point out a stark, I suppose, statistic that between 2007 and 2016, no inquests involving TRC cases occurred, and no TRC matters were enrolled for prosecution until early 2016. And that was, in fact, the Nokuthula Simelane case, but that only happened after Thembi Simelane went to court. Do you accept that that's an appalling record?
Well, indeed, something should have happened. I agree with that.
But let's turn to your time as Minister of Police. And you deal with this in your statement from page 25 onwards. And let me first say that the families make no allegations of interference on your part as Minister of Police. So that's simply not on the table. If we do want to draw your attention to what you say in paragraph 38 of your statement, you say, as a minister during my time, I never stopped, interfered with any investigation of TRC cases. We don't dispute that. During my tenure as minister, I never received complaints or concerns the police were not providing investigative support in the investigation of TRC cases, nor can any evidence be adduced to my recollection pointing to such a failure. So there we do want to take some issue because we want to point to some communications in which you were either addressed or copied. And let's start with 35.1. And that is a letter that dated 4 October.
35.1.
Sorry, it's a paragraph. It's on the same page 8.
Page 8.
Sorry to confuse you. We're between documents. If I can bring you back to the application.
I'm at page 8 now.
Yes. So we're going to drop down to 35.1, and we make reference to a letter from a firm of attorneys by the name of Cliff Decker Hofmeyer. So their pro bono departments represent the Craddock 4 families. And on 4 October 2020, they sent a letter to you as the minister and the National Commissioner seeking your intervention on the case of the missing Craddock 4 docket. And we've annexed that. And actually, can I ask you to turn to it? It's at page 73 of that bundle.
There.
So you can see it's on the CDH letterhead. It's addressed to the Minister of Police. And as well as the National Commissioner of Police. And the heading is refusal by SABC to open a criminal case into the missing Craddock 4 docket. So the quick background is that the docket apparently went missing around 2013, and then it had to be reconstructed in 2019. So when the families heard about that, they were incensed, and Mr. Lukanya Kalata attempted to open up a case. He went to the police station in Cape Town. They turned him away. His attorneys tried to open a case at a police station in Pretoria, and they were also turned away. And that then prompted this letter to yourself. And perhaps if I can just read into the record, paragraph 16 of that letter on page 75. It reads as follows: the prosecution of those responsible for the brutal murders of the Craddock 4 is a matter of national importance. The removal, disposal, destruction, or concealment of the original docket amounts to a serious offence. It has considerably inhibited and delayed the murder investigations. We accordingly seek the intervention of your good officers to ensure that a criminal investigation ensues without further delay. Now, on the one hand, I'm pleased to say that not long after this letter, a case was actually opened, and we are assuming that it was because it had come to your attention. But would you agree with me that this is an example of a concern around the TRC cases being brought to your attention?
Well, the issue here, Mr. Vani, are the investigations. And the investigations are not for the minister. Actually, the day the ministers get in the investigation part of things, that will be a set day, and then maybe the things that we see as we speak that are ventilated somewhere else, where the ministers can even suggest that see after Van. It cannot be. Some of them, they are done at the ministerial level to speak. That does not mean that we don't speak with national commissioners. But sometimes the national commissioners would not, and it would not be a crime. You don't know how many cases I read on the papers that the minister has lost the case and must pay the money to Mr. Vani. Something that you have, some of them millions of rands, something that you have never had. And you call Mr. Commissioner, the legal head, what is this? But yeah, we went to court, we lost and all that. And I would not ask, why didn't you come to me? But the problem, when Mr. Vani comes, he won't go to the National Commissioner for litigation, will go to the. So those are some of the structural things that even sometimes when these things are written, will be said to the minister, the office of the minister, the chief of staff and everybody, can without referring take it straight where it belongs to the National Commission investigation. So some of these things will be remembered, some of these things would not be remembered. But when the commissioner comes and
Sorry, General, can I just come in there? But the
Yes.
point that you need to make is this is one of the cases that were brought to your attention. Can you recall that it was brought to your attention, and maybe you can help us as to what did you do when it came to your attention?
Well, I can't remember specifically, but I remember that I did discuss matters later with the head of Hawks. I think I did have meetings. Maybe it could have been part of it, but the discussion did take place between the minister and the head of Hawks, which happened to be General Libya.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vani.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am grateful. So let's then move on to the next matter, which actually is also in relation to the Craddock 4 matter, and that's at 35.2 at the bottom of page 8. And there we point to the launching of a legal application by the families of the Craddock 4 in July 2021 to compel the police and the NPA to finalize their investigations and take a decision in the case. And there you, as Minister of Police, were cited as the fourth respondent. We've attached the notice of motion, but no need to go to it. I just raise it as an example of something that probably did come to your attention, because this was quite a well-publicized application to court to get the police and the NPA to finalize their work on the Craddock 4 case after many, many years and reach a decision.
Well, indeed, it could have been. Remembering exactly, I would not. But as I've explained, that there are many cases that they will go on behalf of the minister without the minister having heard at all about it. But I'm not saying that happened on this particular time, that I did not hear about it. But indeed, it could have been, or it could have not been. But the minister, once it's cited, the legal people take sometimes with the knowledge, sometimes without the knowledge of the minister.
Well, that is, I have to say, a little disturbing to hear that sometimes they act without the knowledge of the minister. I think I can believe that. So that actually happens from time to time.
That's a statement I made, Mr. Vani, before this, that sometimes you read on the Sowetan that the minister is supposed to pay so many millions. And it's only then that you call somebody to say, what these millions? They'll take you through that there was a case that has gone through and all that. Having nobody has come to you before that case goes to the, I don't know, because of the interference and all that, but that has happened not once, many a times.
Thank you. Then let's move to the last example. Between 2020, and this is at 35.3 at the top of page 9, between 2020 and 2023, the Foundation for Human Rights addressed correspondence to the NDPP, the DPCI, and Ministers of Justice and Police, seeking the establishment of a specialized dedicated unit to investigate and prosecute the TRC cases. And the reason why these proposals were made over those years was because, in their view, of the dire lack of delivery on the TRC cases after so many years with suspects and witnesses dying. Now, we've attached that correspondence from pages 98 to 117. I'm not going to take you to them, but I just raise it as another example where concerns were raised and in matters which there was communications where you were copied. So I suppose I just want to put it to you that concerns were brought to your office. Whether you got to see them directly, we don't know, but they were raised.
But I would not argue against that were raised with me. So, but the same principle will prevail here to say I might not have seen it, but I don't remember specifically seeing and dealing with it specifically, Mr. Vani.
Okay. So then finally, you can see from paragraph 36 onwards that we quote certain DPCI figures. And we put them in the table, and we just make the point that of the TRC cases, 80% of all cases, 140 out of 176, were opened in 2 years. And I'm pleased to advise that they coincided with your time as minister, 2021 and 2022. But this was more than 20 years after the TRC had submitted its report. And then we point, to other stark figures that between 2003 and 2025, period of some 23 years, there were only 7 cases in which convictions were secured. And 5 of those were between 2003 and 2007 in matters that the NPA took forward, because in those cases there were already investigations completed. And then we have another one in 2023 and another one in 2025. Now, what we want to put to you is that we accept the courageous responsibility you've taken for things that happened during your term as commissioner. But we want to put it to you that these were not just unfortunate lapses. They're from the perspective of the families. The TRC cases were singled out not for prioritization, but for neglect. And that ultimately explains why today we are in the situation we found ourselves in.
A response?
Yes, please.
A comment? No, I would. I think I'll live with the context of my period as a national commissioner, Mr. Vani. That the neglect, if it is called the neglect, was spread beyond the TRC during the time of 2010. That it would be 2009 to 2011. That I was there. I don't think they would be deliberate. There would be that kind of thing. So claiming no easy victories. The period where there's 21, 22, 23, up to 24. I remember that we did have discussion with the head of Hawks, that who has come to be head of Hawks after I've become the minister. Maybe, I want to repeat, claiming no easy victories on this one. And but maybe those discussions could have put these figures that you see here streaming and coming from such discussions. But I would not sit here and say I know exactly where anybody sat down and deliberately said we're not going to be dealing with these cases of TRC. But I would understand that there were problems on the broader kind of dealing with crime situation, especially when it comes to the investigations. Thanks.
Thank you, General. General, we are grateful for the time that you've given this commission on two separate days. I know that you have to get back to some pretty important business. We have no further questions for you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Vani. Ms. Seme.
Chairperson, I just have one question or one aspect. You were asked to comment on your role in the Spore Pewa case. And in this respect, can I refer you to page 56 of the bundle?
56.
Yes.
I'm there.
If you look at that document, we just need to clarify that that document was not in response to the email that was sent to you in 2008. Because the document is dated 12/09/97. So this process of verifying people happened in the 90s. The process where you were verifying that indeed Musa Pewa was well known to you.
Yes, Chair, I was verifying that, hence to whom it may concern, and then I see the date, and I can assure you that this is not the only question that came to me about the people that I knew, but it was a verification of whoever wanted to know who Spore was vis-a-vis the underground and his contribution to the struggle in that particular time. And indeed, I knew him well. I did not have any other thing to say about him except what I wrote here.
So, just to confirm, this note was not in response to the email you received from the family of Pewa in 2008? And couldn't have been, just on the date alone?
Well, I don't know the date. I don't know the date when was written, but I think it would be after written by the family. but the verification had started much earlier of many other cadres that we had to. And I guess this, I don't know, I think this is 97, 1209, 97 or 99?
Yes, General.
Yes, you've been given the answer, General. Ms. Seme gave you the answer. Do you accept her suggestion? Ms. Seme, put it again to the General, please.
The email that was written to you by Gama, the member of the family of Musa Peo, was written to you in 2008. This document at page 56, was commissioned in 1997. Just on that basis alone, the conclusion that Mr. Vani made that you received the email and therefore in 2008 and therefore you penned this confirmation to allow Musa Pewa to receive, Pewa's family to receive a pension cannot be true or sustainable on the facts.
Yes or
No,
no, General?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Telet, and thank you, Commissioners. That is the
Thank
only
you.
question I had.
Chairperson, I wonder if I can just propose one question arising from that email.
Yes, you may, Mr. Vani.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, General, I must apologize, and I thank my learned friend, Ms. Seme, for pointing that out. That actually is correct. It could not have been in response to that email. Would I be correct in saying that family members would have approached you in some other way in 1997 to secure that document?
Well, indeed, it could have been family members. Maybe, I think there was a process of verification from the other structures. But as I say, that there are people that would claim, so family members on those structures, not without family members knowing, yes, indeed, then I would have confirmed.
And lastly, if one just looks at that email from Mr. Gama on 13 August 2008, in paragraphs, this is on page 47, paragraphs 7 to 10, beyond the financial assistance he talks about, he also asks for whether the investigation could be reactivated. And he humbly appeals to you for assistance to discover what happened to Pewa, saying that time is not on our side. And according to Mr. Gama and the son, there was no response to that.
Well, Chairperson, through you, Justice, I would not know, but I was in the province in that particular time. And really, 2008, I was just an MEC for transport. I could have spoken to somebody, I can't remember who, if I did, but I've been always very much keen to help when it comes to sport matters, and generally those people that I had the recollection of knowing who they were. But I don't think that nothing completely didn't happen. There was completely no response. I don't believe so.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Chairperson.
General, we thank you for having accommodated us in your busy schedule. You are now excused as a witness and you may go and resume your duties. your important duties. These proceedings are adjourned until tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Mr. Chair, please.
Thank you very much.